Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications on future uploads. Hello everyone, Simon Bard here, you can call me Sully. It's 2024, and I'd like to start off this year by looking over the movies of 2022.
Yeah, I know I'm late on this one, but hopefully for the future,
I want to finish up making movies that I initially started but never finished, like the 2016 animated movies, the Blue Sky Studio movies, and the Disney and Warner Bros. 100th anniversary, which is still in continuation. But first, let me go over the films that I saw in 2022, and this time it will be about the ones that I saw in theaters, and only in theaters. Since I have too much to go over in adding films I saw on streaming and physical media, as there's films I haven't seen yet, films I've watched after 2022, and films I include on my least favorite and favorites list I'll have to take off, and make top 8 lists instead of a top 10 or 5. So in summary, I'm looking at the films I saw in theaters and IMAX in 2022 alone, including films that came out the year before in limited or international release, but were released domestically the following year. So, with that out of the way, let's get started. The 355. This action film about a secret group of women spies is quite lame, forgettable, and felt long and a bit confusing. 2.5 minus stars. Belle. Mamoru Hosoda's anime is amazing that, outside of occasional pacing and narrative issue, is quite a remarkable film with big and colorful visuals, an occasionally depressing but charmingly awkward reality, and all with a Beauty and the Beast type narrative woven in, and a dark and disturbing twist. 3.5 stars. Scream. The 2022 reboot of the Scream films has its good kills and alright setup, yet the killer's reveal comes up too soon and there's instances of unfairness during the second and final act. 2.5 plus stars. Sereno. The musical based on the stage play is exceptional for its setting and look, acting, music, and songs, and near bare-bones story, but I would have liked it more if the ending was better and that I expected more of it. 2.5 plus stars. Moonfall.
Roland Emmerich's serviceable sci-fi disaster film is one that has a predictable bit or two, is a bit rushed in the first act, and has a twist of the moon that's odd. But it goes at a steady pace as it continues, has an occasional funny moment, neat effects and action, and is as decent as it can be, and I had a fine time with it.
2.5 plus stars. Jackass Forever. This comedy of the MTV show is enjoyable and surprisingly funny for the dangerous and over-the-top stunts, and I did laugh at a good chunk of it, even if it's not overly funny as some of it could have had better timing and payoff. 2.5 plus stars. Death on the Nile. A decent adaptation of Agatha Christie's novel with more mysteries and great camera work, about as good as Murder on the Orient Express, but it's not as surprising or unexpected as the previous film. 3 stars. Uncharted. An okay action-adventure based on the video game franchise, with a neat sense of adventure, an abundance of clues, the right amount of betrayal and trust, and nice bits of humor. Nothing fantastic, but it's fine and passable. 2.5 plus stars. The Batman. Matt Reeves' take of The Dark Knight is enjoyable enough for its gothic aesthetic setting, acting and characters, action, bits of humor, and a focused mystery that got me involved and I never felt bored by it. But the many characters and his political talk is a lot to take in. 2.5 plus stars. The Lost City. An okay adventure comedy that isn't much to work with as its story feels typical and simple, yet it often felt off in the delivery, and Daniel Radcliffe is simply miscast in being both pleasant and intimidating as the villain. 2.5 mixed stars. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This is a fun sequel to the 2020 movie that's on the same level as the original film, yet has more sillier moments and action with more elements from the games. It's a decent but enjoyable experience. 3 stars. Morbius. It's quite a mess with how undeveloped it is and how off it felt, ranging from bare-bone relationships, to lame humor, to its quick pacing and choppy edits, and to its generic story. Although the motivations are basic and the effects are interesting, but off-putting. 2 stars. Ambulance. This is quite a thrilling action drama from Michael Bay that's pretty much a 90s movie made in 2022, and one that perfectly captures it, even though the chaos needs to take a break or two. 2.5+ stars. Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. A better sequel to the previous entries of this Harry Potter spin-off, with a more focused story and is more enjoyable. Plus, Mads Mikkelsen makes for a better Grindelwald, and the relationship he has with Dumbledore is quite interesting. 2.5+ stars. The Bad Guys. A fine animated heist comedy with great animation, likable characters and designs, and a good moral or two. Yet the main villain and plot are predictable, and a couple of morals felt obvious. But at least I got a sense of enjoyment. 2.5+ stars. The Northman. This is an underwhelming experience that's by the numbers, with bland characters and a story that crosses Hamlet with Gladiator. But outside of its Norse culture, action, visuals, and surreal moments that are okay, it's all kind of meh. 2.5- stars. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. An okay Marvel movie that, despite being connected to WandaVision, has fine action, effects, humor, and horror-like atmosphere of Sam Raimi that makes it kind of enjoyable as a Raimi movie in the MCU than a Raimi movie in general. 2.5+ stars. Firestarter. The horror thriller based on the Stephen King novel is okay for its simple narrative, some nice kills, and neat music, but it isn't scary or thrilling enough, as I wish it went all out. 2.5 stars. Downton Abbey: A New Era. A fine sequel to the 2019 film of the BBC and Carnival TV series, with an interesting look into the filmmaking of 1920s England, a more confined story, and more good humor, even though the final moments felt off and a mystery that seems odd. 2.5+ stars. Men. This horror drama is weird and bizarre in what it's doing. It's effective and meaningful in some places, but it's also disturbing, creepy, and sometimes clever, using symbolic metaphors to present a story of forgiveness, yet overall I didn't enjoy it. 2.5 stars. Top Gun: Maverick. While it's a better sequel than the 1986 film for its higher action, more decent story and character, and better narrative, it also follows the original film beat by beat, which kinda ruined it for me, even when I didn't like the original film. 2.5 stars. The Bob's Burgers Movie. This is an odd and awkward animated comedy of the Fox TV series that felt like nothing, with most of the characters having one expression, the dialogue being too much and too rushed, forgettable songs, and no laughs. It needed to be bigger. 2.5- stars. Jurassic World Dominion. The final film of the Jurassic Park Jurassic World franchise is very nice, with decent action, nice bits of humor, a neat and sweet finale, and combining stuff from previous films quite well, even though certain story and character bits are much to take in. 2.5+ stars. Crimes of the Future. David Cronenberg's sci-fi drama nearly had me bored, yet it has some okay bits like its body horror, but it's nearly vague in places and felt more like an art film, ultimately feeling like a nothing film to me. 2.5 stars. Lightyear. This is an okay film from Pixar with decent enough action, nice comedy, and fine characters, although the setup and twists to the story are troubling, even in connecting to the original Toy Story films, and it would have been fine as its own thing. 2.5+ stars. Elvis. An interesting and alright biopic of Elvis Presley and Colonel Tom Parker from Baz Luhrmann that does a decent enough job of telling its story through its crazy yet visually stylish edits and a fine passion I like, even if its ending's a bit anticlimactic. 2.5+ stars. The Black Phone. A fine horror film with neat and okay substance from its unique edits and bloody moments, but it takes quite a while to get going as the moments of bullying and parental abuse overstay its welcome a little bit, plus it's not scary. 2.5 stars. Minions: The Rise of Gru. Illumination's prequel/spin-off sequel of Despicable Me is a nice one with colorful animation, neat action and characters, and fun setup and humor, even if it's not quite as enjoyable as the Despicable Me trilogy. 2.5+ stars. Thor: Love and Thunder. This Thor sequel from the MCU is a fun and interesting one with a good amount of comedy, fun action and effects, bright and colorful sets and costumes, and a neat climax and sweet ending, though the pacing could have been tighter and or looser given certain scenes. 3 stars. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. A cute and charming animated film based on the short films and character created by Dean Fisher Camp and Jenny Slate. They have quite funny and adorable lines and jokes in stop motion, yet I could have wanted more from it given its ending, and I feel the shorts are more intimate and personal. 2.5+ stars. Paws of Fury: The Legend of Hank. An okay animated action comedy where its plot and humor is similar to Blazing Saddles, but for families and with cats and dogs, yet it has some nice animation, several cute moments, and a couple of jokes that did get me laughing. 2.5+ or 2.5 mixed stars. Where the Crawdads Sing. This drama based on a novel has nice bits of romance, fine music, and a neat twist ending. Yet the scenes of abuse and neglect overshadow a majority of the film for me, and made me wish it opened the backstory differently. 2.5- stars. Nope. Jordan Peele's sci-fi horror is somewhat unique, yet quite disappointing with the horror elements, not scary enough, some vague bits, and despite its okay use of a filmmaking motif with UFOs, it's one that made me unsure of it and expected too much from. 2.5 mixed stars. DC League of Super Pets. This is an odd but decently made animated DC movie being rushed in places, moments that are slightly obvious, and some members of the Justice League being a bit over-designed in their outfits. Yet it's decent enough for the rest. 2.5+ stars. Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is a bizarrely unique yet almost imaginative take of the multiverse with plenty of good humor and clever symbolism. Yet it felt muddled in some places, almost chaotic or less, when getting to know or perhaps like these characters. 2.5 mixed stars. Bullet Train. A complicated crime mystery action comedy with too many characters to follow, a plot with little resolutions, and jokes not hitting as hard as I thought. But the action, violence, and effects kept my interest enough. 2.5 mixed stars. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. An alright murder mystery that's more of a character study and is fine for its setup, occasional humor, suspense, and maybe characters. Although where it all ends up makes the film seem pointless, even when most of it is a bit average. 2.5 mixed stars. Fall. An okay thriller that I wanted to end as soon as the 2 women got stuck up on the tower, regardless of the simple plot and moments of fear I had in following these women. And though it has its messages of bravery and life being too short, it could have been done better. 2.5 mixed stars. Beast. A decent thriller with some alright one-shots, tame violent content, and very well done CG lions. 2.5+ stars. Dragon Ball Super Superhero. It's a neat action anime with a fairly paced climax, big action, nice humor, nearly likable characters, and its 2D 3D hybrid animation. Even though there's scenes that felt unnecessary and many points of exposition and recaps, it's alright. 2.5 mixed stars. 3,000 Years of Longing. An okay fantasy that's a unique and maybe original take on the Jinn, and the visuals do work to it, but there's some points I don't understand, including the ending and female lead. Yet it's fine enough for me being a non-George Miller fan. 2.5 mixed stars. The Invitation. A neat vampire horror film that adds some fine changes to the vampire lore, and all without saying the word vampire, and has an alright atmosphere and ending, although it's not quite scary and one effect at the end seems poor looking. 2.5+ stars. Barbarian. This horror film just goes all over the place with having an effective setup and atmosphere in the first half, then detours in the comedy, an understandable flashback, and back to horror which becomes lackluster. And the structure, a couple of ridiculous and laughable shots, and story details makes the whole film experience bizarre. 2.5 mixed stars. See How They Run. An okay murder mystery comedy that has an interesting setup and the suspects are also victims, yet it gets slightly boring as it goes, usually with the main leads, and the editing, though as stylish as it is, doesn't add much. 2.5 mixed stars. The Woman King. A pretty fine film inspired by true events that has a basic but interesting story, fine music and acting, well done sets and costumes, and decent action and some neat culture. even if Viola Davis's title role almost becomes supporting than leading. 2.5 plus stars. Moonage Daydream. A unique documentary on David Bowie using archival footage and recordings of him from his professional and personal life, as is as immense with its visuals and edits and songs. But the film is too long and certain concert recordings do overstay their welcome. 2.5 mixed stars. Don't Worry Darling. An interesting psychological thriller with a standard plot but becomes adequately fine by keeping me guessing until the end, where it's been done before but differently and simple. Though a few moments are never explained and ones that are quite bare-boned. 2.5 plus stars. Smile. An aggravating yet terrifyingly effective horror film that has the lamest and worst of modern horror plots, but is very and highly effective in delivering the scares, especially in the final moments where one of the last shots nearly traumatized me with my big fears of creepy smiles. 2.5 mixed stars. Amsterdam. An alright crime comedy that has some nice comedic bits, a nice sense of charm and fun from the all-star cast, interesting presentation, and a fine setup. Even if the narrations are oddly paced, has bits of awkwardness, and is a bit jarring for its shots and edits. 2.5 plus stars. Tar. A surprisingly nothing film that's hardly engaging and almost boring. There are some neat things from the music, editing, and sound, but the cancel culture angle felt unneeded and makes little sense, especially towards the end. 2.5 minus stars. Lyle Lyle Crocodile. A bit of an uninteresting film based on the book series that's hard for me to grasp, with characters who are forgettable and come back from nowhere, a mean neighbor who hates the family for no reason, lame humor, and a story and a scene of sorrow that goes on too long. Despite the original songs and effects, if off at times, being worth a viewing, it's mainly a nothing film. 2 stars. Triangle of Sadness. The comedy drama is very long with a very open-ending finale, and the majority of it felt like it was building up to something and kind of delivered nothing. It has lovely music and an occasional joke I like, but it's mildly unimpressive and nearly boring.
2.5 mix or 2.5 minus stars.
Halloween Ends. The final installment of the Halloween franchise is not so good, with it mostly focused on a man getting shamed and harassed for killing a kid that's really an accident, and it gets worse as it continues. But the kills of Michael Myers and his final confrontation with Laurie Strode are okay, and the ending felt right to me. 2.5 minus stars. Black Adam. A fun DC movie on the anti-superhero that has cool moments of slow motion, nice cameos, deaths worth the PG-13 rating, good enough humor, and clever twists. It's pretty entertaining and kept me invested for a good time. 3 stars. The Banshees of Inisherin. This Irish drama is fine with decent acting and music and understandable situations where nothing and no one has a hopeful or cheery end, and how hard it is to let bygones be bygones. 2.5 plus stars. Pray for the Devil. An alright horror film that may have some overblown scary bits, but is adequate for not shaming or insulting the main lead too much, and having a neat twist with one of the characters, even for an Exorcist film that's not part of the Exorcist franchise. 2.5 plus stars. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. An okay sequel to the 2018 MCU film that has decent action, fine humor, and a tribute to Chadwick Boseman. But it also has questionable bits ranging from continuity errors, a couple of maybe pointless moments, and the lighting, while making sense in certain areas like the depths of the ocean, is a bit rough. 2.5 mixed stars. The Menu. A neat comedy horror thriller that's clever with the guests having a connection to the chef, the food that's showcased looks well made and sometimes delicious, and the humor, while subtle, did give me a chuckle or giggle on occasion. Although the ending is pretty questionable given the premise, and the rest of the comedy and horror aspects are quite tame. 2.5 plus stars. She Said. Quite a good movie based on the book and investigation that, despite a brief gross visual and that it could have gone a minute longer, is overall wondrous with everything told through dialogue and little visuals and without being too harsh for me, and not going into too much graphic detail that's understandable and benefits the R rating. 2.5 plus stars. Strange World. Disney's animated sci-fi adventure is a wondrous film for its creative and colorful creatures and environments, likable characters, designs and relationships, and some silly but funny humor. And though a few bits are predictable and obvious, I got into it very well. 3 stars. The Fabelmans. Steven Spielberg's semi-biography on his early life is quite nice that's inspirational in a unique and compassionate way, as well as a bit charming and funny and showed me what Spielberg went through and how passion for filmmaking can get out of hand. 3 stars. Bones and All. A decently alright horror romance based on a novel that I would like more given the ending and direction, but its characters are almost likable, it has beautiful and thrilling music, and a simple premise. 2.5+ stars. Devotion. This war drama inspired by a true story has alright flying scenes, neat shots and effects, and fine acting with little racial moments that don't hurt the film too much, and a final line of dialogue that sort of felt right, though the film could have been a hint engaging. 2.5 mixed stars. Glass Onions, a Knives Out mystery. A fine sequel to the 2019 film that has a bit of a straightforward narrative, some good bits of humor, neat edits, and a somewhat satisfying conclusion, even though 1 or 2 points near the end could have been presented better and small bits of predictability. 2.5+ stars. I Heard the Bells. Sight and Sound's first feature film is an alright one with some lovely music, decent acting and casting, and the religious angle is enough to inspire hope and find new purpose or redefine one's life. 2.5+ stars. Violent Night. A fun and funny Christmas action comedy that's the instant holiday film for its bloody and funny mayhem with a touch of holiday magic. 3 stars. Avatar: The Way of Water. James Cameron's sequel to his 2009 film is alright and is a bit better than the original with its visuals and underwater moments, new and interesting ideas, and fine action, although it does kinda retread bits of the original with some differences. 2.5+ stars. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. DreamWorks' sequel to the Shrek spin-off is alright for its fun and cute moments, lovely visuals, colorful animation, 1 or 2 sweet moments, a cool new villain, a nice ending lesson, and more references to fairy tales. Yet the comedy rarely got a laugh from me. 2.5+ stars. I Wanna Dance with Somebody. A pretty interesting musical biopic of Whitney Houston, with some good humor I also laughed at, likable or lovable moments of chemistry, an upbeat feel to the renditions of songs, and Naomi Ackie performs and sings nicely, even if she can't hit those high notes just right, and all with no racial tension throughout. 2.5+ or 3 stars. Babylon. A great and edge-of-the-seat experience of 1920s and 1930s Hollywood with unique characters, fun music and edits, and an ending that not just summarizes the entire film, but one that's so huge and visual it made me say, wow. 3 or 3.5 stars.
Now for a look at my top 8 least favorite movies of 2022. And a look at my top 8 favorite movies of 2022.
And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or X, support me on Patreon, and until next time for a new video. Whenever that will be.